Hello there, music maker. In this episode, we're going to talk about what is your proudest moment as a mandolin player. We asked the entire community and got a lot of responses. I think over like 75 posts on Facebook, something like that. I know what I want to share, but let's dive in to see what is the proudest moments.
Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus Settled.
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets Podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode, we'll tackle our questions of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing what is your proudest moment as a mandolin player, and do you ever take breaks from playing music? If so, for how long? We'll also be diving into Magnus's new album, Nordic Symphonic, and be discussing a little bit about my experience at Kaufman Camp down in Maryville, Tennessee. Before we dive into any of that, though, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast to sign up for reminders about our upcoming streams. Just search Mandolin Secrets Podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode.
Oh yeah, and I think this question about the proudest moment, I actually got one. Well, there's many, of course, and I also could see from people in the group, it was, for some people, difficult to pick one, really. But one thing that I'm really proud of at the moment is the fact that we are celebrating 4 years of Mandolin Secrets Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but really, time really flies. I can't even imagine that it's already been 4 years, but yeah, it still makes me really proud that, because it's been like a dream, like a big goal, a big vision for me to create something like that, like an online platform for teaching and educating mandolin players, and here it is, and we're 4 years into it. That's
Well,
pretty
congratulations,
cool.
man. And
Thank you.
just like you said, time flies. If it's been 4 years since you started the academy, that means it's been 3 years since I've started working with you on
Yeah.
this thing. So time definitely does fly, man. You know, that's cool.
It's yeah, but yeah. So for anyone listening, really appreciate, even if you've been here for, if it's your first 4 minutes of being in Mandolin Secrets world, I appreciate you. But if you've been here for 4 years, well, even bigger for me. So thank you very much. And how about you, Hayes? Was there? I'm what is starting your what would be your moment that you would like to highlight for yourself? I mean.
Yeah, there are, I had a hard time wrestling with this. I might actually cheat and give two because they're kind of related, you know what I mean?
Please.
So the one of the, at least the first one that came to mind when I was thinking about my proudest moment as a mandolin player was when I was able to get my Red Diamond F model mandolin. I know that has nothing to do with my playing as a mandolin player, but receiving that instrument, and I think you would agree with this too, having recently gotten a Red Diamond, that led to an exponential increase in my skill and desire to play the mandolin and stuff like that. So that's getting that mandolin was definitely a proud moment. But later that year, after getting that mandolin, I was able to play, and you were at this show, a gig with the legendary Peter Rowan. We recreated the Mule Skinner album that he played on back in the early 70s with Clarence White and David Grisman, and I got to work up all the David Grisman parts, and I kicked off Panama Red with Peter Rowan. It was like it was a dream come true for me. So
yeah. I tell you what, I was really proud of you being there in the audience and hearing you or seeing you on stage, and also just the fact that I don't know the album in and out, sort of, but I could really see people in the audience. It was a big moment for them, like Peter Rowan being there and giving back this, performing this album again. So it was like there was something in the air, so to speak.
Absolutely,
So
the energy was definitely palpable that night. But yeah, I think that's for right now. That definitely is top of the list for me in terms of proudest moments.
yeah, I like it. And I did also, I read quite many of those comments coming in. And as I said, I think it was over 75 responses or something like that. But it's interesting, right? Because we toss out those questions on a regular basis, and some of them really sticks, and some of them don't. But this one somehow, uh, for me, a little bit surprisingly, really resonated with people.
Yeah,
And
it's cool, right? I'm looking at on Facebook right now. We reached over 1,000 people with that post alone. So,
yeah,
folks, we're into that topic.
yeah. And I one that like pops to my mind now that you're also like yeah, talking about your red diamond and your like when you were what is the word well not achieving, what is it, this word that I'm thinking of, never mind. But talking about the red diamond, I did see someone were really proud when and there's always these humorous comments coming in, of course. And this guy, he said, I when I did put, it was something like, I put back this $9,000 Ellis mandolin to the case. I guess he was proud that he didn't just immediately bought it or something like that. Like it was, you know,
I
the,
totally understand that. I mean, how many times have we been tempted by something that was just out of our financial reach or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. But so proud that showing up with some self discipline, I guess. But
I like that one.
yeah. Was
Yeah.
there any other comments in there that you think is worth sharing?
Yeah, I thought that was a really funny post. I actually can't pronounce this person's name, but they said, for their proudest moment, it says, maybe when Chris Thiele stared at me playing his lore and suddenly said, man, you've got a great technique.
Yeah,
Like, I'd say that'd be a pretty proud moment as a mandolin player, right?
really. Yes, that comment alone made me want to check in on this guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it like deep investigation, but I guess it's an Icelandic player playing in some Icelandic bluegrass Americana sort of band.
Yeah.
But we got it. So now that we've seen this name, it will it will it will pop up again very soon, I think.
I am sure.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but that is,
Great.
I think it's a common theme there. People are people are feeling a pride and being proud when meeting their heroes, and
Exactly.
especially, of course, getting a comment like that. But a lot of players were actually pointing out the day they met Bill Monroe, the day they met David Grisman, and all this.
Yes. Yeah, Steven in the community says he got to play a duet of Big Mon with Bill Monroe on stage. Like, that's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And
I'd be proud of that one
I
too.
think it's really um, yeah, but it's, we can all like picture that thing happening, and it's a really nice thing with our community of music makers, and there is the gap between the big stage performers and the audience, the amateurs, the it's not that big. There's, well, I think we all been in that situation when someone of the hot shots kind of taking their taking us under their wings, sort of, and that's really
Absolutely.
nice. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, it's I mean, both you and me, Hayes, being somehow well, in some ways seen as authorities in our field now. This is happening both you and me know that the even happening this summer, we're meeting with some of the people from the community in person. I mean, and there's a lot of selfies and a lot of showing their appreciation for, and so it's yes, this community builder that we're all part of, I think.
Absolutely. I would agree with you.
Yeah, but it's just to summarize that question. I think what also makes it resonate with people, it's the fact that, and I hope everyone can feel that we all should be sort of proud for doing what we're doing, and my experience also showing up with a mandolin in a group of people, it's always it's like an, what is this? Well, it's gaining the atmosphere. No, but it's joy maker, sort
Yeah.
of party booster.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. I love that. And I think you're onto something here too, that if you're looking at people's responses, this general tendency to describe their proudest moments as ones where they were interacting with other musicians that they care about, like that's what we're all about here, right?
Yeah.
Building that community and fostering that attitude.
Absolutely. Thanks. And I also know that you've been into, well, talking actually, it kind of ties into this authority thing, because you were actually in this situation this summer where you were teaching at with the hot shots, really, at this camp.
Yeah, this past summer in June, I was able to go down to Maryville, Tennessee, and teach at Steve Kaufman's Acoustic Kamp. For those of you listening that don't know Steve Kaufman, he's kind of like the grandfather of what Magnus and I are even trying to do. Steve is a 3-time national flat picking champion, so he's a highly regarded acoustic guitar player. Yeah. But in the 80s, he started making instructional content that for videos, for like homespun tapes and all of the videos that guys like me and Magnus grew up watching and learning from. So I got down to camp, and the teaching roster there. Steve actually doesn't teach; he just runs the camp. But I was actually
curious to hear about that thing. No,
isn't that funny? Like, I was like, man, I want to sit in on a Steve Kaufman class, but he was too busy running around making sure that people had sheets for their rooms and stuff like that. But the staff at the camp, it's funny because he kind of lines up the instructor staff with all of his friends from that national flat picking championship world. So we had Alan Shadd on faculty, who was so Steve Kaufman, Alan Shadd, and there's one more, I believe, who have won 3 national championships. So Alan Shadd and Steve Kaufman were both there. Mark Cosgrove, a 2-time national champion, was on staff. Tyler Grant, who's won Winfield once, was on staff. And then Wayne Taylor. He's not a national flat pick champion, but he was the director of the Navy. The United States Navy has a bluegrass band. So he was he ran their bluegrass band for a number of years and has had a long, storied career. So all of that to say, it was like proud for me to be included amongst all of those people, but I was also a bit scared going into camp too, because I'm like, I have no national championships or any of this kind of stuff.
No. Yeah, of course. I mean, you're put in this situation, and your ego will be there, also thinking that now you gotta prove that why you're here, sort of. Yeah. So of course it's I can see that's naturally happening.
Yeah.
But I've seen
this. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, but I just say that I've seen some of the footage. Like stage footage from the concerts and recordings, and I mean, I know you and I know you're playing, but even looking back at this those videos, I couldn't tell that who is the natural champion is and who's not. I mean, you could really tell that you're really deserving the spot, and you're making music at the same level as these guys. So
I appreciate you saying that, man. And I always try to maintain a humble approach to my playing and life and stuff like that. But I appreciate those compliments. And I'll say this about camp, regardless of how I played and all that stuff, those guys, Alan, Mark Cosgrove, Tyler, and Wayne, they were all super friendly, very welcoming. They were interested to learn about me and asked me about my career. It was weird in some ways to have all of these guys that are my heroes that I've looked up to asking me questions about me and what I think about playing and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was fun to get to hang out with them, and I learned a lot just being with them
of course.
those days.
I mean, and I guess it ties into the community thing that we're talking about. It's, I mean, they've been in your shoes at some point, and it's a give and taking thing. But it's it's just something. The way that there was someone in the community, a student, who said that he thought that music illuminates the best part of a human being. And I think it was such a really nice way of framing something that I've actually seen in real life for myself. So I kind of picked up on that description. It illuminates the best part of a human being. Yeah.
I feel like that. You know how you see those inspirational just like paintings on people's walls where they'll have a quote, and then like a person. I feel like that's something that could be put on your wall.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes, man. And I also know you have a YouTube video coming up telling a little bit about the camp and all that. But if you got like 30 seconds to tell the listeners of the podcast, is it something for everyone, or who is the camp for?
Yeah, this is a great kind of opportunity to let everyone know that Kaufman Camp is an amazing place, and if you are considering going to a music camp, or you feel stuck in your playing, or you feel like you don't have access to a community of pickers or anything like that to kind of take your playing to the next level, I would absolutely suggest going to Kaufman Camp. I think they do, in my opinion, because I've taught at a few camps over the years, Steve and his wife Donna, they do such a great job of structuring the camp so that players of all levels can get something out of it. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced player, you get to hang out with all the people. There are staff concerts every night. There are 2 classes that you take every day for 5 days in a row. Structured times for jamming. You can test out. They have custom instrument builders on site, so you can play a fancy $4,000 mandolin if you've never played one before. And there's just so many reasons, in my opinion, to go. And if you folks are interested in hearing more of those reasons and more about why you should go to camp, like Magnus said, I'm going to be releasing a YouTube video sometime in, I guess it would be mid-September 2023 at the time of the recording of this podcast. So check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hayes Griffin, and you'll see that video there.
Cool. And yes, the one thing that came to my mind, it's also a place for mandolin players, right?
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. So I was talking about it exclusively from a guitar perspective because I was teaching guitar down there. Yeah. But they have actually, there are 2 weeks of Kaufman Acoustic Camps. The first week they call Old Time Week, and the second week they call Bluegrass Week. But each of those weeks you can go there and learn guitar, mandolin, banjo, fiddle, dobro, or bass. You can play even ukulele. So like you can learn any of the folk instruments while you're there. And I think this is why Kaufman Camp is great, because typically what I see is like families will come and this will be their vacation. Like each of the kids gets to break off and do their instrument, or the husband and wife gets to break off and take guitar
Yeah.
and banjo classes and that kind of stuff. So it's really for everyone. And
Cool.
yeah, I would highly suggest looking into it.
Yeah, I wish it was uh, around my town. I would definitely go there.
Yeah, man. Well, maybe I'll have to put in a good word with Steve, and we'll get you over in the next couple of years or something, right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And now talking about this, families going on vacation, going to the camp and all that, it kind of that makes me think of the next question we asked the community. Do you ever take breaks from playing music, and for how long?
Yeah.
So, starting in the end, is there like anything from the community that we wanna share before sharing yours and mine story about it?
Yeah, I think the general consensus that I saw in the community, because I would see some people, and naturally, like you said, there'd be humorous answers, and some people are like, "Yeah, I take a break for a couple hours," you know.
Yeah.
But generally, what I see is like some people will take no more than like a week off every year, or they'll take off some time around the holidays to kind of recharge and not practice. But it seems like breaks are few and far between. But even like Tim, one of my guitar club members and an academy member here, he says he took about 10 years off between 1997 and 2007. So
Wow.
another one, Karen, says 10 years. So I think it's
Wow.
kind of all over the place. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think people are, and that is like a proper answer to the question. I would never have thought of that's what we're asking for. Like
Yeah.
I mean, even I take a break for a couple of hours. That is like proper way, and then someone taking years off. That is a long break, because
It's
really
hard for me to even think about that, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I guess for me, it's. I think I will. For me, it really comes down to this feeling that I have that a day without playing mandolin is a wasted day. So it makes for me it makes it very difficult for taking breaks, even if I know that it would probably be good for my playing in one way. I'm not sure about it, but that could be the way. And I know it would really be good for people around me if I took a little break for a. But it's a very difficult thing for me.
I can understand. I feel this urge, like you said. If there's a day where you don't play the instrument and you think about that, like my natural inclination is to think that that's a bad thing, that I've done something bad because I didn't play that day.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. And like you said, other people in your life. I know you and I have joked about this or talked about this, but like you've got two kids, and
Yeah.
and Victor's sometimes being like, oh, why does Dad have to play the mandolin again right
yeah,
now?
yeah, exactly. That's exactly the way
I
it
know
is.
my wife feels the same way. It's like, why did he
Yeah.
disappear for 2 hours in the middle of a weeknight just to,
Yeah. But that also makes me I feel somehow encouraged and admiring you because I knew you had a long break. Well, long break this summer.
For me, it was a long break, and
Yeah.
this was the first one that I took in over 10 years in that
Yeah.
way. Like, so some people took a break for 10 years. I haven't taken a break in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so just to explain to everyone out there, my wife and I went on vacation in Alaska at the beginning of July, and we were trying to go kind of minimalist for our travels, so I was
Wow.
thinking, well, maybe I'll take the electric mandolin with me because it's easy, it's small, it's thinner, it's easy to pack, it's all this kind of stuff, and I'm like thinking of all these logistical things of how I'm going to get an instrument with me and how I'm going to carry it on and check our bags and do this stuff. And no joke, it was the night before we flew out. I said, screw this. I'm not taking anything. It was just a last minute decision.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm leaving the instruments at home. I looked it up even. I was like, okay, well, when we stay in Vancouver, there's a guitar shop that I can walk to in 15 minutes if I want to play some guitar. And then when we're in these different Alaskan towns, there's some guitar shops here that I can play. I didn't play any guitar the entire time I was there. And 2 weeks later, I came back so refreshed.
Wow.
No joke, man. My hands, I think you and I have talked about this before, but just like the muscular health of our hands and the need to stretch and to exercise and to do some yoga and stuff like that. I feel like the 2 weeks off for someone like us who plays every day, that 2 weeks is in fact good because you can let the muscles relax a bit. And the thing that I really noticed when I came back to the instrument at the end of the 2 weeks was, you know how we do this exercise where we kind of rest our finger on the string and then slowly add pressure until a note starts to sound?
Yeah.
I could feel that exercise more mindfully. I could feel the pressure because it had been gone for so, you know what I mean? I wasn't used to it at that point. So I feel like I even came back to the instrument with a lighter touch. I've kind of measured it, and I can play some of my fiddle tunes at 170 beats per minute now versus 160, which is where I was on vacation. So I think I'm not trying to make this up, but I think it really did help.
Wow. And you can see that I'm sitting here and I'm feeling a little bit ashamed almost because I'm going through the exact same process at the moment because I'm about to go for a little it's vacation. Well, I'm going on a trip with my family in October. And I've been thinking about, should I bring... Well, I probably bring the electric in a gig bag because it's a bit smaller. I've been doing all this.
Same thought process the whole time. All
the time.
It makes you feel like a drug addict or something, doesn't it? You know, it's like, how can I sneak my mandolin in here? You know, it's like...
that's actually the conclusion I've come to, that I am addicted to playing mandolin.
Yeah.
Serious. And it's and it's the good thing with being addicted to playing mandolin, I don't see too many like side effects of it.
Yes.
That also, but it's somehow problematic for now, for example, when we're leaving here. And also having some vacation this summer, because I know I somehow at least fooled myself to think that I'm kind of being a better parent since I have a little bit of time with the mandolin. But it's really the thought of an addicted person.
I hear that, but to support your mandolin playing though, I will say this: the thing that I do believe the mandolin can give us if we approach it the right way. The one thing I noticed in my 2 weeks away from the mandolin, I guess is a better way to frame it. I actually use playing music as a mindfulness exercise. So when I'm playing music, I'm actually cultivating mindfulness, and I honestly am able to give people my time more fully the rest of the day if I practice some music. Because in the context of practicing music, I'm honing my focus, I'm practicing relaxation, practicing open awareness, and all these things. So I think, honestly, dude, you are a better dad for having some mandolin time in your life. I think we all need those things that cultivate that spirit inside of us, right?
Yes, I think there's so much truth in that, and the way I'm practicing and playing the mandolin at the moment is exactly that way. It's this way, so it's a bit of having like, let's say, 30 minutes for myself, and after I done it, I'm really I'm sort of is the word, I'm really content, I would say.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very content, and then I can spend the rest of the day with like without thinking that I should do it. So
Absolutely, you can give your attention fully to the rest of your
yeah,
life,
yeah,
your family, or
yeah.
whatever it is, right?
But it's an it's a really interesting subject, and really yes, and hearing you talk about this also earlier this summer, I'm also somehow interested how it will be if I stay away from it for 2 weeks. So it's not. Well, I'm not sure what will happen here in October,
Yeah.
but we'll see. But and also I gotta also say because we're going on a actually 3 week trip with my family, a train trip down to southern Europe.
Yeah.
And also my experience from being out on road. I mean, just carrying the instruments sets up for interesting meetings with people. Even so,
Just having, yes, yeah, it's like
yeah,
like a calling card, right? You know, if there's another
yeah,
musician around, they'll be like, hey, you know, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So it's also there is I see there is reasons for bringing it and there is reason for not bringing it. But for me, I think actually the reasons to bring it will kind of be the more heavy this time. And even the fact because I'm not going on total vacation, I'm just sort of moving my office, my studio to another spot for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's more just
So
like, yeah, relocating to a different place. Yeah.
relocating. But
And did you say 3 weeks?
3 weeks,
You're
yeah.
gonna be three
Yeah.
weeks would be a long time. I'll say this: at the end of my 2 weeks, I was content with my 2 weeks off. You know, just like you were saying, but I
Yeah.
was also ready to come back.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting input. Like, so it was, yeah, after 2 weeks, you felt like, maybe no longer, sort of.
Exactly.
Cool.
It was just right, you know.
Yeah. And because we're kind of forced for a minimalistic kind of travel since we're going with a train ride. So I've been like just thinking about the different instruments, the gig bags, the electric, blah blah blah. But in the end, I mean, even if I bring my hard case, I will probably bring the Hakala, by the way. But yes, for not bringing the most expensive one on a in the train.
That would be my
But
vote as well.
yeah, but even that's what I was about to say. Even by bringing my hard case mandolin, it still works as a minimalistic kind of traveler. That's
At least you're not a guitar player
yes, or a bass player or whatever,
or a drummer or
or a
whatever,
drummer.
right? Yeah.
So that's one of the good thing for everyone like us playing the mandolin, that we are movable and
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, I could. Or this discussion will go on about being away from the instrument or not, but it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think you know, and just to kind of turn this conversation outward to the people listening, if you've been playing for a while and you're feeling maybe stuck, or, you know, like you haven't made a lot of progress or anything like that, I would suggest a week or two break as like a great way to kind of restart things and kind of come back to the instrument with fresh hands and a fresh mind, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. Yes, and also before wrapping up the call, I want to let everyone know that I released a new album with my band Nordic, and this one we have recorded with an orchestra. it's a string orchestra of 15 people, and I've been talking about this album like on a few different spots, but now at least it's out there. I'm feeling really happy about it. You can find it actually on any platform for streaming music. You only search for Nordic Symphonic. That's the name of the album, and feeling happy about it, as I said. And if people want to have it's a folky kind of thing, but with a little touch of a classical music, sort of.
Absolutely. In my view, this is like, so now that Magnus has given you his extremely humble, pragmatic, Swedish assessment of what his album is, I'm going to say that this is one of my favorite albums that I've listened to in the last 20 years, everyone. Seriously, man.
Wow.
You should be so proud of this album. It's one of those, like you said, for watching me at the show, like I was proud listening to this album just for you, because you have this body of work that you can look back on for the rest of your life and say, I played with a 15-piece symphonic orchestra and we killed it.
Thanks.
If anybody is into folk music in general, this is a must-listen to album for 2023. I can't say that enough, man.
Yeah.
And it's epic. Just the huge sound of the orchestra. Like, your guys' music is already epic anyways. You have great arrangements, and it's very, like, well-crafted music, you know, with just the three of you. But when you add a 15-piece orchestra to it, it's, it's an amazing work of art, and you should be very proud, my friend.
Well, thanks, Hayes. Really appreciate that you... Well, I'm really glad to hear that you're enjoying it, basically, more than anything else. And I feel also that way, that whatever happens, I at least made this album. Sort of,
Yes.
and it's there, and I can steer people to it. Have a listen to this one. So I think it's also a feeling. You know this, but making a podcast, releasing it, making a YouTube video, releasing it, everything we do has sort of an... it's not very long time horizon or a life...
There's a short shelf life for some of this stuff.
Short shelf life, that's the word. I'm thinking. Yeah, but I'm feeling at least this album feels more like something that probably will be around even for a longer time, sort of.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be, you know, when people look at, 20 years from now, when they look at the Magnus Sederlund Wikipedia page, this is going to be, in the you know what I mean, in the career section, when you click on that heading, they're going to be like, in his seminal album with Nordic Symphonic,
Yeah. So I guess everyone listening to the podcast, now we hope we have created a little bit of curiosity here. So check it out. It's Nordic Symphonic, but
it's a great listen front to back, in my opinion. But if I have to say one of my, I'm going to list two favorite tracks.
Okay.
Just because,
Please.
But Bruce, everybody wants to listen to Bruce out there because it's funky and groovy. And then
Bruce.
I'm gonna screw up the name on this one, but is it Döden or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that one.
You nailed it. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's really two good picks there, and it's sort of like it's a little bit of a mix of everything. There's like a funk classic, The Chicken, that one is in there. There's this the Bruce one. That's a little bit of an old timey kind of character, and it's actually an homage to the old time fiddler Bruce Molsky from the beginning. So he named the tune. Yes. But thanks everyone for listening. I think we're about to wrap up this call. And just stay around, because we always post new questions to the community, and it's so nice to see everyone's responses coming in.
Absolutely. That community building we were talking about.
Yeah. So, yep, that's it for my. Anything you want to add, Hayes, before I'm ending with the magical ending words?
Yeah, no, we've got just 2 things to remember, folks. So head to my YouTube channel here and check out that Kaufman Camp video for all the reasons why you should go to music camp. And then check out Magnus's album Nordic on your favorite streaming platform. Or hey, go buy the album and actually support those people. You know, give them some money. That's good stuff too. But that's about all I've got. If you need any more information on the podcast, just head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast for more information on how to keep up with the show. I think that's about it for me, buddy.
Sounds good. So I just want to remind everyone out there, always be a music maker. Take care.